It's already week 16 of fantasy football. That means we are in the semifinals. We're at the home stretch. Let's finish strong. Let's go. What's up, Couch fam? Welcome to my week 16 waiver wire pickups video. We have waiver ads ranked at every single position. Let's go right into the waivers, starting with QBs. All right, guys. If you're looking for a quarterback, I highly recommend one of these top 5 options. Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Gardner Minshew. Jalen Hurts probably won't play this week. It's not guaranteed or it's not anything solid yet. We'll see more information, but it's looking more like Gardner Minshew will start week 16 against the Cowboys. We also got Brock Purdy going against Washington. Brock Purdy's looking incredible, but this will be a low-scoring game against the Commanders. And then we have Matt Ryan against the Chargers. He'll probably do well. He has that 300-yard potential, but we really cannot trust the Colts at all, and we really cannot trust Matt Ryan. So a very risky start. I don't know how bold you are to be starting him week 16. And then in deeper leagues, we have Kenny Pickett, Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, Zach Wilson, and Mike White as a stash. Mike White has already been ruled out, and there is a chance that he may not play week 17 either, so keep that in mind. All right, so one guy I did want to talk about is Ryan Tannehill. You might be like, why is he ranked low? The matchup is great. Okay, but we have to look a little bit further. We have to think, like, what's going to happen this game? So what's going to happen this game? You already know the answer to this. It's going to be a Derrick Henry game, just like almost every tight end's game. On top of that, Ryan Tannehill has a minor injury. That's actually really a non-factor. But another real factor, though, is that Ryan Tannehill is not a upside quarterback. He doesn't have the potential to put up over 20 fantasy points. And you know what? In week 16, you really want to start a quarterback who at least has a realistic shot of getting you 20 plus. And that's not Tannehill. Matter of fact, Tannehill barely got over 10 fantasy points last week, and that was because of a QB sneak, I believe it was. He got a lucky rushing touchdown. So without that, he would have done absolutely nothing and been one of the worst QBs last week. So that's why we don't have Ryan Tannehill ranked that high. So hopefully you're able to get one of those top 5 QBs. If you're in need, let's say you have Jalen Hurts or something, go ahead a QB for sure. Moving on to running backs. This took a lot of research and a lot of time. Who do we add? Deion Jackson or Zach Moss? And I'm going to go with Deion Jackson. Really, without any confidence, without even liking him. I honestly think that this Colts team and the coaching staff is horrible. We cannot trust them. I think going with Zach Moss as your starting running back is the wrong choice. And this team is doing everything wrong. In order to lose a 33-0 league, which was broke a record, was historically bad, and really is incomprehensible. There's just no way you blow a 33-0 lead. There's been a lot of analysis and simulations and opinions about the 28-3 blown lead that the Falcons suffered in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady and the Patriots. And in that case, just to sum it all up, the Falcons did everything wrong, from the coaching decisions to the quarterback play to the defense. Like, they did everything wrong perfectly for that to happen. And this was the case again in a 33-0 league. Like, there's just no way you blow that lead unless you do everything wrong. And even though Zach Moss, look, on paper, he didn't do well, but he didn't look that bad. I'm a certified Zach Moss hater. But he really didn't look that bad. I know there were some negative plays and not great yards per carry. So when you look at it, you're like, okay, he did all right. Like, it looks bad, but he actually looked okay. It's just, to me, Deion Jackson is way better. He needs to be the main running back, and I have no faith in this team. So I'm still going with Deion Jackson. If you're in a PPR league, I would pick up and start Deion Jackson if you needed to. This is not an ideal situation. If you're in a half PPR league, I would add and start Deion Jackson. Now, if you're in a non-PPR league, I think this Colts team is really stupid. And look, I'm not trying to say these things to get hits or to just be opinionated. If you guys know, I'm not like that. I don't just say, I'm not Stephen A. Smith. I don't just yell and just for nonsense, at least not most of the time. That's not my main style. It's not my main gear. Zach Moss, I think this team's dumb. I think they're going to go with Zach Moss. I mean, and they shouldn't if they want to win, but I think they're going to go with Zach Moss as the lead back, unfortunately. And I think he's not going to get a lot of fantasy points because he never has in his career, except for like 1 or 2 games with the Bills, and that was ancient history. Anyway, you guys were looking for a good answer for this Colts running back situation, and I didn't give it to you because this whole team is smeared with poop. It's messy. You can't trust them. They're going to make the wrong decisions. It's horrible. I mean, they're historically bad. That blown lead is just inexcusable. Moving on, Zonovan Knight is good to go. He's fine, but there is some kind of injury concern there. Nonetheless, Michael Carter should be rostered, I think. Khalil Herbert is returning from IR. I do expect him to play this week. Should be added in just about every league. And then we got Jaylen Warren, Marlon Mack, Tyler Algier. He's basically the main back. We're splits between him and Cordell Patterson. Not much competition other than those two in Atlanta at the moment. Jordan Mason, handcuff. Joshua Kelly's a handcuff. Matt Breida is a low-end handcuff. And then we have a messy situation with the Texans. We have a bad matchup. And surprise, surprise, we all were debating on whether it be Burkhead or Ogu Dare Ogu that would get the bulk of the carries, and it was Royce Freeman, so surprise, surprise. Moving on to wide receivers, I highly recommend you get one of these top 3 wide receivers. Treylon Burks kind of was getting a little bit of hype, but he's on a boring team, doesn't get a lot of media coverage, and is kind of only owned in about half of leagues, so he may have been dropped. Just people kind of forgot about him. He was slowly kind of breaking out, and this game should be a good game. One huge play action play, and Treylon Burks could score a touchdown. So he's worth an ad. Marquise Goodwin, another incredible ad going against the Chiefs. I love this. And Lockett is going to miss at least 1 game. More than likely, he will miss multiple games, but he could be back, matter of fact, by week 17. That's insane. I don't think so, but he could only miss 1 game. That is a possibility. He's going to miss at least 1 game, though. And then Darius Slayton is definitely worth an ad. So try to get one of these top 3 wide receivers. If not, we also have Isaiah Hodgins, another Giants wide receiver, getting a lot of snaps coming on late in the season. Demarcus Robinson's like the only wide receiver now for the Ravens, unless you're including guys like Sammy Watkins and Deshaun Jackson. KJ Osborne, 5 targets a couple weeks ago, and last game 16 targets is something to note. Chris Moore is, I think he has a minor injury. I think it's a foot injury, so keep tabs on that. Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks, if they're out, if Chris Moore is healthy, he gets a boost. Russell Gage did very well in the absence of Julio Jones. Corey Davis is back. Not a great, it's going to be a low-scoring game against the Jags more than likely, though. Thursday Night Football. Jahan Dotson is back. Wouldn't want to start him against the Niners, though. You can start him against the Browns. I don't want to start too many players against the Niners ever. And Mecole Hardman should be making his return this week. For tight ends, I got Chig Okonkwo. Even though he's like rostered in like 20% of leagues, that's not really reflective of what's going on. If you're in a competitive league, he's not going to be available. But I had to put him on here because he's hardly rostered in any leagues. And my number 2 tight end to add, look, I know he's not really a sleeper, but he's kind of a sleeper, as in, just like Treylon Burks, he is on a vanilla team. The Seahawks don't have a lot of superstars. I mean, us fantasy nerds know that Geno Smith's a great fantasy sleeper. Ken Walker is a star. Metcalf is a star. But in terms of like this team getting a lot of hype, like it's a vanilla team. This team is 500. No one's thinking they're making the Super Bowl. They're not a laughing stock either. They're just kind of, the whole team is kind of under the radar. And so Noah Fant has a chance of kind of going under the radar as well. Not a big name, not a lot of splashes. Now, the real reason he's not a sleeper is because he did score a touchdown last game. That was kind of a big deal. But anyway, I do like Noah Fant. We saw him got 6 targets last game, 52% of snaps. That will probably go up a little bit with Tyler Lockett being out, and he's going against the Chiefs. That means we're going to see like an extra 5, 6, 7 passes from Geno Smith, more than he would normally throw, because they will be playing from behind. There will be garbage time, and it should be a good high-scoring game. I like Geno Smith throwing the ball, and I like Noah Fant running a few more routes and getting a couple more targets. So I do see him getting 7 or 8 targets this game. I would be comfortable adding him and starting him against the Chiefs. And then we have Tyler Higbee. Now, these really are not good options. I just want to make that clear. It's the top 2 and then the rest. So Tyler Higbee has been kind of bad, but I think Ben Skoranek is out now. So it's like there's not too many players to throw the ball to. They don't throw the ball to the running back position a whole lot. So Tyler Higbee should get a lot of targets, and here's another super sleeper ad. It's going to be Jordan Akins going against the tight ends who allow the 4th most points to the tight end position. Now, I don't look at the matchup a lot in tight ends. Matter of fact, I look at it, sometimes it's a big factor. Most of the time, it's best to just ignore the tight end matchup because it's so different. Like, if the tight end's talented, like, who's, like, what's the game script look like? Like, it's just so many factors that looking at the matchup usually doesn't matter. But in this case, we know the Texans will throw the ball. Like, what else are they going to do? Dameon Pierce is hurt. They're going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to throw it, and Jordan Akins is looking like the number 1 tight end. Now, this does always rotate. Sometimes it's Brevin Jordan, sometimes it's another tight end, but it's looking like Jordan Akins is kind of solidifying the role. Don't have a lot of faith in him, but I see at least 5 targets for him, which is good enough to be a semi-decent ad and a semi-decent start. Moving on, we got Taysom Hill, we got Juwan Johnson, but keep in mind that the Browns do erase opposing tight ends, and that's why I don't have Juwan Johnson ranked in the top 3 like most people probably would. And in super deep leagues, we have Robert Tonyan, Daniel Bellinger, Austin Hooper, and Trey McBride. For defenses, try to get a top 5 defense. I think that's going to be the key here. I really like the top 5. That's going to really help. I mean, of course, you can go like top 7, top 8, sure. If you can't get top 5, go top 7. And I think you can. So we got the Browns D going against the Saints. That's going to be very close to the Bucks D going against the Cardinals. And they also face the Panthers the very next week. So the Bucks D going against the Cardinals, they get a huge boost if Colt McCoy is out. Now, he did suffer a concussion. I don't know how he's going to be able to play this week. That's going to be tough because I'm starting DeAndre Hopkins probably in one league. But if Colt McCoy is out, the Bucks D should feast, and they're already a decent start, even if Colt McCoy does play. We have the Ravens D in a low-scoring game where the Falcons will probably not score like any points. I don't think they're going to score hardly score any points. Titans D going against the Texans, another elite start, and the Broncos D going against the Rams in a low-scoring game where the Broncos are slightly favorited. That's another elite start. We have the Steelers D, that's a decent start, and the Rams D in that same game, which should be low-scoring. Yeah, and yeah, top 8 is not bad either, but I really like the top 5 here. I'm very confident in that. And if you're in a deeper league, go with the Bengals D, Chiefs D, Lions D, Chargers D, Jags D, Jets D, Falcons D, or Texans D. For kickers, I don't have any amazing kickers for you guys this week, but I do really like the top 3 options. Cameron Dicker should have a lot of opportunities kicking in a dome. I like it. Graham Gano, one of the most reliable kickers this year in real life and in fantasy. He's a solid streaming option or just a solid waiver ad for long term, kicking in a dome. Ryan Suckup, kicking in a dome. They should have a lead. They should be dominating this game, have a lot of opportunities to kick field goals and extra points. Now, of course, Ryan Suckup, a little bit of a wild card. The Bucks are a bit of a wild card, and also Ryan Suckup, sometimes he looks very reliable this year, and sometimes he misses easy kicks. So that's why he's not ranked higher. Greg Joseph is kind of the same way. I love Greg Joseph's opportunities, but he is a wild card. He misses a lot of kicks, and he makes a lot of kicks. Some of the kicks he makes are really difficult, so we don't know. So hopefully you're able to get a top 3 option. If not, top 5 will do. Brett Maher is always a good bet to do well. Excuse me. One guy I did want to kind of talk about is Robbie Gould. I do expect him to bounce back, but this is not a great matchup. So I don't know how well he's going to do. Let's say he's going to get 7 fantasy points. That's okay. But if you're in a deep league and Robbie Gould is dropped, don't hesitate to pick him up, because the next week he plays the Raiders. That's going to be your championship. And for those of you that play Week 18, they face the Cardinals. So Week 17, great matchup. Week 18, great matchup. And this week, he should just be okay. He'll be mediocre. And honestly, it's kind of hard to predict how he's going to do. I'm just telling you, I really think he'll do better than he did the last 2 games where he only put up a couple fantasy points. He'll do better than that. He's putting up like 3 fantasy points. That's not good. I'll just read off the rest of these names. After Brett Maher, I did have Michael Badgley, then Robbie Gould at 7. At 8, Chase McLaughlin. 9, Greg Zuerlein. 10, Randy Bullock. And 11, Chris Boswell. Keep in mind, I really want you to get a top 3 kicker, if not top 5 will do. And that's going to do it for this video. Drop a comment below. I read every single comment and I try to answer all your fantasy questions. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and our second YouTube channel. That's right, we have a second YouTube channel called Fantasy Couch Podcast. Good luck this week, everybody. Let's get that W, and I'll catch you on the next video / live stream.